project you...
Hi and welcome to Down the Shed with me, Jason. Here we have a LED digital clock kit. It is 99.8% surface mount components. And get ready for it. Yes, they are all separate, something like 348 LEDs. So we have got some fun ahead of us. There's two resistors on this side of the board. That's the other side. So as you can see, if we can focus, these are absolutely tiny. The chips aren't huge. Thankfully they're only two-sided and not four-sided like some of them. That's where the switches go, the battery backup, two ICs, the bigger one, couple of capacitors, another little, I guess another IC, crystal, 10k resistor, another capacitor, one of the three surface through-hole parts, the crystal, the thermistor and that capacitor. Everything else is literally SMD. So without any further ado, let's crack on and do this. Clarity requirements with these, they are simply plug and play, shall we say. It's a bit loose. So we'll just dab some solder onto the board. There we go. There are my tweezers. So you probably can't see them, but I've got two of the three. They give you a spare. Can't pick them up with these tweezers. What's the matter with these tweezers? There we go. So there's one. So you can see how blinking tiny they are. So let's get this first one in. And yes, I am staring down the lens of a magnifying glass. I'm going to get my other tweezers. I'm waiting for some to turn up from China. They're on their second batch now because the first batch failed to get here. Really are a challenge, these SMDs, but I do like a challenge. If it's too easy, there's no fun. There we go. Might just shunt that one over a little bit actually. There we go. So we'll get the other two sides soldered in. So I'll just pause you a minute while I turn the board. Can't even see the button. Right, and while we're in that neck of the woods, it'd be rather rude. Where the hell has it gone? I was going to say it'd be rather rude not to put the quartz, there it is, quartz chip in. So we may as well get that in while we're here. Now I like these squeezy tweezers. You've just got to be careful when you're doing SMD bits like this not to squeeze them, otherwise you drop the part. Other tweezers. There we go. I could probably get pushed back a bit actually. That'll do. It's on. Put a blob more solder on those. Yeah, that one nearest you really isn't going in. It's sitting on the solder. Well, it's connected anyway. That's better. Right, so that's the two capacitors, 10 PF and the quartz crystal in, 2.768 kilohertz. Actually, it's not 2, it's 32, I think. Can't read what's under the board now. Yeah, it's 32.768 kilohertz. That's tidily on there. I want to try and fire the power up so I can test the LEDs, because I really have no idea. On one side of these boards I've got a hole in the center of the terminal with like a squished arrow, and on the other side it's just blank, so it's trial and error at the moment. That's the two 10 PF caps. Next we'll get to this nice easy to locate battery holder. We'll get it straight once it's soldered in, or once one end's soldered in anyway. Bloody great hair. Oh no, it's a rabbit. Ha kidding. A lot better than trying to run it any cooler. So that's a nice big blodule of solder on each of those. So all we've got left on this side of the board is the capacitor, a 10k resistor, the USB and the two switches. Now they are going to be a royal pain in the backside. Let me just check this Facebook, because I'm Facebooking with another YouTuber. Right, so let's take this out. We'll narrow this down. I want to try and get the board in this way. Good little bit of kit this. About 8-10 quid on Amazon, I think it was. Let's get that one done up before we push the other one out again. Right, well, it'd be rude not to start on the side nearest me, wouldn't it? Are you in shot? You are in shot. So with these switches, we'll just, there we go, just test fit them. I think I better lock that off a bit as well, haven't I? Better. So basically I'm going to drop some solder paste on there. I'll heat it up with the iron. It'll just be easier than trying to solder them on. Well, easier using the paste than conventional solder, I think. And while I wait for my new friend to reply, we should be able to, I'm not sure on the polarity of the LEDs. There's a marking on the board which I'm not sure is a plus or a minus, so we're basically going to have to go by trial and error and just fit one, or not even fit one, just sit one on the board and see what happens. Well, they're not in perfect alignment, but they'll do. So now we have, are you still in? You are. We have a nice simple electrolytic capacitor. Remember, the long leg is the positive and the short leg is the negative. No. Right, so long leg positive, short leg minus. Where's that? Why does the blue tack always go missing? I mean, geez. I don't know where that big blob's still gone. I lost in one of the last videos. There we go. You're in shot. Soldering is definitely going so much easier today. Right, so that's the cap in. Next we have, I should have done that 10k R8 first. So 10k. Now we've got 102 and 103 and I don't know which is 10k. So that's why we have a Google. So we've got a 10k there. Now I'm guessing we only want one, because we have a 1k times 2 on the back, and we have 3. Resistor SMD code. Let's start flipping. SMD resistor calculator. So the 102 is a 1k, which means the 103s must be 10k's. Yeah. So I need to do something with this page. Oh, I'll just pin it for now. Don't know what that does. Anyway, 103 is 10k. So they've nicely given me 2 spares of those and 1 spare of the other. And no spares of the caps, but I've got SMD practice boards, so I've got spares for that end. Right, 103 is 10k. What would we have done before Google? Sit here and cry, basically. Oh, where'd it go? There it is. This is why they give you spares. So there's our little resistor. Right, you can just about see it on the board there, sitting pretty. I'll wake the iron up. SMD resistor calculator. I must write that one down. So let's get this hard side in first, because that side now for the cap in is going to be a female dog. Arr, arr, arr. Get back. Get back. What's that? I burnt that cap? Don't think so. Don't like the amount of solder on that. Oh, it's a bit weak. Might have to clean it. Yeah, she thinks she wants cleaning. Okay, so that's the resistor on. Let's try and zoom you in a bit on that. Crikey Moses. So there we go. There's the 10K R8. You're slightly upside down, so I'll twist you round. There we go. So there's the 10K R8 and the through-hole capacitor. You can see one of the ICs neatly-ish soldered on. So let's get this USB plug on, and then we can actually start testing the board. So this is going to be one of these nice, oh geez, tiny pin affairs, which is now somewhere on the floor, so I've got to careful where I put my feet. I've got a second kit, so I've got spares, but that's not the point, otherwise I just won't have a spare kit, or a second kit. Like one of those pins is slightly bent. It has got 5 pins on it. I think we only want the power, but there we go, that's in place. And you've got to be careful not to overheat these for too long, otherwise you end up melting the internals. There's a lot of military helicopter activity in the background. Are you in shot? No, you are. So let's get that up against the board nicely. So we'll have the mill solder for these. So we'll just basically peg this down. Like so. Tin the iron. Right. Now we'll get the 0.6. This should be 0.6. Yeah, 0.6 solder is awesome, especially for this work. I might get some 0.4 if it's available. This is where it gets tricky. Might want a smaller bit for this. Now I know you shouldn't carry the solder to the part, but in some cases you don't have a lot of choice. Something on the iron. That isn't nice. Oh, I need to turn this around. I'm really not getting to that part. I'm going to pause you a sec. Yeah, like they weren't tricky. So there's a bit of flux on the board, but as you can see, that's in. So I've pretty much, I've got 2 resistors there I need to put in. Hi and welcome to me, Jason, and we're in the shed. So anyway, we've done the chip side of the board. We've done all the SMD components excluding the LEDs. So in the next part of the video you're going to see the LEDs being fitted. However, this is a bit of an anticlimax because this kit has now made it into my bin. As I can't even be asked to return it, it's a tenner. To be honest, I'd rather just snap this cheap Chinese shit in half, throw it in the bin, and yeah, that's another one that the Chinese have pulled over the English. They've screwed us over with yet more trash. I have got a second kit, so we are going to try that and see if we can get that one working. 1 out of 2 is better than none at all. So let's get the rest of these LEDs in. There we are. So 102s, 1K.
Becomes an extension of your body, and you're spatially aware of where that hot tip is. It doesn't really pose that much of a risk to you. Well, unless you touch yourself with it, obviously. And then it hurts.
Right, so the LEDs on this board, if you're not sure, there are obviously two pads. One of them has got like a squish little arrow with a line across it to denote the LED. That is your positive side, a cathode I think, and the negative or the anode is the pin or pad that has no markings whatsoever. I can't get one of the LEDs out to show you because it's so tiny the camera isn't going to pick it up, but there's a little green dot or mark on one side of the top of the LED. That is your negative. So the little green dot wants to go on the side. Can't even see my finger. The little green dot wants to go on the side of the blank pad, and the positive is where the little white marking is. I'll try and show you, but I promise you this is so tiny you're not going to see it. So you might just make out a white blur on one of those pads. That's the positive pad. So let's crack on. Okay, so we have pretty much 97 out of, I think it was 248 LEDs to go, so just a quick blast. That's what we've got done so far, so hopefully I am going to fill this block in here. I'm now going to go on to that, and hopefully by tonight, which I have to go to work 5 till 9, so that's an arse, get it actually completed. So let's depower it and crack on. What I've been doing is squirting, let's move this out of the way, some power it. I've been squirting solder paste. I've been kind of combining old and new methods, or through hole and SMD, just squirting the solder paste into here, and then using my nail cuticle stick thingy, which comes in handy for doing various tasks like this. Underneath the microscope I'm actually dabbing the solder paste, not the microscope, the magnifying glass, onto each pad. Let's get that back into shot for you, pretty much. So yeah, just dabbing solder paste onto each pad with this underneath the magnifying glass, and then using the iron to melt the solder paste. I do need to get a hot air rework station. I've got the Halfords one, the little hot air gun thingy, but I'm not comfortable with using that on a board like this because it really heats the board up as well, and I don't want that lot falling off. So I've actually got 2 of these clocks. There's another one up there in the cupboard waiting to be done. Bought a backup one this time because I will complete, this is about the 5th one. I've got one of them working, but it doesn't set, the touch buttons don't work. So I'm hoping this one's going to be a success, so I get to keep the other one or give him that one for his pub, garage and pub, lucky man. So see you in a minute, or in a few hours in my case. Okay, so many hours later and another 4-hour shift at work. We've now got to this point. So I've only got 18. Oh, look at the flickering. We've only got 18. That's rather interesting, actually. I'm looking at it on the screen. Of these LEDs left to fit. Obviously, they're going to go in here. So, watch your eyes. I will literally just carry on putting a little bit of paste on all of these, and then I will spread this around some of the others in a minute. So I'll paste all these up, place the LEDs, use the iron to solder them in, and then come back and see what we've got. Now I won't switch it on and see if it's working properly or not without you. We'll do that together. Working or not, this will get uploaded. Well, it's working, we just don't know how well. I don't know whether switching it on and off affected it. I don't think it should, because I've seen people do it in videos before just to test the LEDs or whatever. I had to do it the first time because I wasn't sure on the polarity of the LED. So I had to put one on the board. Here's a tip for you. You can place the LEDs on top of the paste, and if you push them down, it will actually light them. See if I can get one. Nope, don't fall off. I've pinged so many of these across the shed. I reckon if you put 12 volts through my floor, it'll flash blue. These are a pain in the back to do. So if we just push that onto there. Now if you whack some voltage in, and then give it a little bit of a press, there you go. Now you can see that one's actually lit up on the solder paste. But I wouldn't try soldering it while it's on, because I did that with one of them and it blew the LED. The soldering iron somehow massively increased the voltage to the board, and it shorted out the well, it didn't short out the LED. The LED went mega uber bright and then failed. So quite disappointingly, this is what we've ended up with. The only thing clock-like are the two flashing cursors. So, oh, camera lens. Let's try the setting buttons.
I'll grant you that music's not as bad as you've worked out what that bag is for, yeah?
So basically, another cheap Chinese piece of shit. So if you see this clock on eBay, Amazon, Alibaba, AliExpress, Banggood, Geek Creek, run a mile. Because this is the biggest piece of shit that I've just spent about flipping 7 hours putting together. So that shall be getting a very shitty message to the seller in about 30 seconds. Like and subscribe to the video. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you don't buy one. I hope you've learned from my mistake. And I've got another one of these to put together, so we'll see if that one works. So as I said in the video, I've done like 4 or 5 clocks. Some of them have been down to lack of tools, desoldering stuff. Some of them down to a lack of skills. I made one clock that used modules like this. They've got 14 legs on them, so a lot less soldering, and there's like 4 or 5 of those. So I've got another one of those on the way. I will at some point put the other one together. I've got an FM wireless microphone kit, which is my next project, because I really can't be arsed with the clock. And this one comes with, amazingly, Chinese instructions, because we all speak Chinese, not. So unless you want to go down your favourite Chinese restaurant and try and get them to translate while you're waiting for your order, Google Translate on your phone, use your phone camera, it will translate it into English. But then half the time they're pretty crap anyway. So keep eye on my channel, subscribe, watch my videos, and I'll spend money on this shit so you don't have to. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.